Welcome back to the Davy Brown 990 restoration. Those of you new, my name's Barry. Right, I know it's been a while, but we've been getting lots of little bolty-on jobs done, and the weather hasn't been so kind to us lately, has it? January 24 we had 2 storms come through, I think. Aisha and somebody else. Both of us were absolutely freezing cold, blowing a hole again, to the point where some people were actually losing roofs. We've got a little bit of damage to a fence panel out here, but that's not so bad, is it? You kind of complain when that's all the problems that you've got. Gemma went away for a week's holiday as well, early January. We're skiing to France, so we had horses and dogs to look after up at her place for her, so she could get a holidays in. Never mind. Right, so what have we been getting done? Been getting lots of little bits and pieces of bolty on and catch up with painting jobs. Stabilisers, or stabiliser brackets, should I say. Only got one, because if you remember the other one, the pin was snapped off and the bolts were sheared. I think one had a stud in it with a nut on, and the other 2 had sheared pins in them. So we had those to drill out of the final drive castings, which is recorded back in the other videos. But we're getting these painted. I ordered up 6 5/8 UNC by 1.5 bolts for those, which will pop in. That'll go in today. This little thing, it's the adapter. I'll put the part number on the screen for you. It's the adapter for the, oh, there's me gasket. Drop me gasket for it. It's the brass adapter for the vacuum or suction switch that goes just below the vacuum pump from the outside of the casting inwards. And if you can remember, you can see it in there, for whatever reason the very end of mine got snapped off. I fished that out of the pipe when I was cleaning, and that was bent. Now I heated that up and straightened it, and I thought that I could have reattached the little broken end by brazing it back on. Unfortunately, my torch didn't have sufficient heat to put into that quick enough to get that to come up to temperature so that I could braze it before this lot soaked all the heat away. Contacted Colin up in Aberdeen to see if he had one of his wrecking tractors that he's got, or his braking tractors. He didn't come back, so I assume that he hasn't. So I contacted Stuart Barclay Williams. This was on, I think, Wednesday last week. Stuart sent me this one. Slightly different shape, but the important bits, this bit is the same size. I would imagine this is a newer version of that. That looks like it's been cast. This looks like it's been machined out of a billet. So we're going to put that in today. I'm going to put a blank. I haven't got the switch. I'm going to put a blank. I've got a blank ordered and I'm waiting for it coming. So I'm going to put a blank in that hole when it comes, just to stop the oil leaks. So we can get some oil put into that gearbox and we can start and investigate it for leaks to make sure nothing is leaking. We can deal with the little leaks. I don't want to pour all the oil in to come back up the next day and find it all over the garage floor. What I'm going to do is put probably 2 or 3 pints in per day up to the point where we get it filled, hopefully without leaks, or solve the leaks as we find them. Fingers crossed there shouldn't be any, because it's all bolted up to tension. It's all been sealed with 515, so we shouldn't have any leaks, should we? The bolts for this are, I've got the original bolts, and as you can see there's not a lot of thread sticking through there, but there'll be enough to put 515 on here and nip these up. And I might even just take those washers off temporarily, because that'll give us another 1/8 of an inch. And if I put that in like that and pull that up on 515, it will seal. Then I can find some longer bolts of these, can't I? And that will get that process, because at the minute I can't do anything anyway till I get something to block that up, can I? Which is ordered but on its way. What else are we getting done? PTO lever. If you remember, this was snapped off here, so we welded that back on ages ago. We've been in here, we've reamed the hole out. I've done a test fit onto the selector rod for the PTO. It does fit. I have ordered some taper locking pins to go through here. The famous 3-day free delivery. They were ordered on the 24th. Today is the 27th, isn't it? 24, 25, 26, 27th. Today is the 27th. There's an email at home which says they aren't going to arrive until the 7th of February. So where the 3-day postage comes in with that, I don't know. With this, I phoned Stuart, I'm sure it was on the Wednesday. This arrived Friday morning. Now that's what you call service, isn't it? Unlike the pins for this, which is not 3-day postage at all, it's nearly 2 weeks postage. The people on eBay really need to start and tell the truth. They try and get you hooked in, but once they've got your money, they don't care, do they? Anyway, we're going to have a look at the tractor in a minute. We're getting lots of pieces bolted on. I ordered an 1-inch diameter steel bar, 400mm long, because the hinge pin for the towing frame that goes under the tractor, so it's the hinge pin that comes, it's underneath the gearbox that the towing frame hinges onto, that comes out the back of the P2. I'll show you in a minute. We needed a new pin to be made for that. And luckily it was straight 1-inch diameter pin. That's done. Towing frames on. Lift arm support brackets are on. That's going to go on very soon. A couple of minutes. Just to get it off the bench, out the way, next door. They're going to go into the final drive casting, so they're out the way, they're safe. I know where they are, I'm not going to lose them. We do need to find, this is the right hand side one. I do need to find a left hand side bracket for that. Let's see, that's going to go in, but we kind of get no oil in today, unfortunately. Never mind. Right, let's have a look at the tractor, see what we've been getting up to, eh? So I know it's a bit dark in here, but just some things you've got to put up with, haven't you? So what have we been getting done? So we've got our lift arm support brackets in, our pins in place, we've getting our sway chains back in place, both sides. I'm going to replace these nuts with nylocks, because you don't want these tight. These have to be able to move as the lift arms come up and down. So those nuts are going to get replaced. 2 bolts either side I've made. I had to get the 3/4, I had some spare 3/4 bolts that went in there. Had to cut them down, put about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch more thread on them to get them to fit in there. There should be stepped or shouldered bolts fitted in there, but it is what it is, isn't it? There wasn't any in when I got the tractor. It had, I think it had a couple of old nuts and bolts in like this, but they weren't 3/4, they were much smaller. So we had them in, and we've got our frame on. So you can see up there, I've undercoated it, and it's just a 1-inch bar in here. A couple of holes drilled in, split pins in. Now in the drawings, this shows you as having a cut in the side with a plate on and a drilled and tapped hole. But that must be on a later version, because there isn't any drilled and tapped holes in those brackets. Hence I've just put that in. I would like to get a couple of 1-inch washers either side of those pins just to stop it from rubbing. So the job today is here. I want to put in here that adapter that Stuart sent us, and we'll get it clean. I'll get this clean, degreased. We'll get it 515, and it'll set for a couple of days and see if I can find some longer bolts to pull that up tight into there with. But as you can see, these have all been, the bolts haven't, the bolt heads haven't, but the brackets have been primed, the lock washers have been primed. So although there hasn't been, I haven't put the videos out, we have been busy, we have been getting on with little bits and pieces, but I say this is all just bolty on stuff anyway, and it's not exciting, but it is coming on. The next job, oh, my little handle, where's my little handle? So we've got my PTO gearbox handle, and that pops on there. But the only thing is, I can't put the pin in till I put the rock shaft on, because the rock shaft goes under here. That's why that's not on at the minute, but it will be. It will be. Right, let's get our bracket, and we'll put our bracket on this side of the way. So we'll pop them 3 bolts into the casting so we know where they are. I don't want to be losing anything. These are 5/8 UNC, and I think it was 14 quid for 6 of them. I searched my bucket that Colin gave me, but there wasn't any in my bucket. This other side, down here, looks like somebody's been in with an angle grinder, because there's a big gouge out of it. Now there's a strange one. 2 seconds, we're back again. Another little thing to look at here. Yes. For some reason, this top one is 1/2 inch. Bottom 2 is 5/8. Those 3 are 1/2 inch. Same on that side, those 3 are 1/2 inch. But that one there is 1/2 inch. God knows why. God knows why. But I need a left-hand stabilising plate. Right. Let's get our 515. A couple of little, maybe a socket or a spanner or something. Get this suction adapter put in. Now, when Stuart sent this up to us, he's very kindly sent gasket and O-ring complete with it. He did say that he had a used one, but to be honest with you, that looks absolutely brand sparkling new, that one. Pop that on there for a minute. But it does, it looks absolutely brand sparkling new. So yet again, big thank you for that one, Stuart. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, let's get this cleaned off under here. Get this prepared. Okay, let's give this surface a bit of preparation here. Let's get our 515 ready. I've just got this wrapped up in cling film to stop the muck and the dirt getting into it. It's too expensive, man, isn't it? I think this was about £30 for this. Okay, got the gasket on. And then let's get another little bit around our gasket. Don't want too much. Whoops. I've just swung that around so the outlet's facing backwards. And I say I'm putting these on without washers because I'm going to get, I just want this in, get the 515 a bit of time to go off. Before the plug comes, and once the plug comes we'll get it in and we'll get some oil poured into it. That'll do. It doesn't need to be mega, it doesn't need to be mega tight, it just needs to be enough to squeeze up. Let's have a look. Yep, that's good. You guys are looking there. That's good. That's here. Gaps facing backwards, so the switch will come out here. The plug will go in temporarily. The plug will go in. We'll be able to then get as you see, this isn't tight. This will come back off and the oil will go in there a couple of pints at a time. We need to put those away safely and we need to look for longer bolts for that. Then we are getting very close to putting the valve chest back in. Valve chest in, selector frame on, rocker shaft back in, build this end of the rocker shaft up the donkey's dick and everything to go back into here. Get that on, get the PTO selector lever on, job's a good one. Right, thanks very much for visiting. Sorry it hasn't been anything more exciting than that, but the weather and bits and pieces got to stop for a while. Hopefully we'll make a little bit of progress with it now. Right, thanks very much for visiting. As always, your time's greatly appreciated when you come seeing what we're up to, tinkering on with little bits and pieces. Oh, little thing, just before we go. In these brackets here, there are 3 holes. And on the top, I think it's on the top or on the face, is stamped 990, 990, 120. I think it's 990A, 990B, 120. So there are different holes in that bracket depending upon what tractor you're putting them on. Okay? I haven't got a tone hitch either for it, but another one I've got to find in it. Right, so as always guys, thanks very much for visiting. Your time's greatly appreciated when you do come to see what we're tinkering on with in my garages. But remember, don't overthink it. It's only nuts and bolts. And we'll catch you in the next one. Hopefully, putting the rock shaft and the valve chest back in be the next big video. Thanks very much guys. See you later. Ta-da now.